Beautiful. Okay. Hello, everyone. I know everyone's in listen-only mode, so when I ask how you are doing, you're not able to respond, but I hope that everybody is doing well and having a good week so far. I just want to confirm, and David, maybe you can just be my confirmation that everybody can see my screen.
Yes, we can. Looks really good.
Beautiful. Okay, great. And I am going to start the slideshow from here. And I hope that this doesn't get in the way, but please let me know if there's anything that you can't read. So my name is Julia Trzaskowski. I am technically an Educo employee, and I am the Director of US Marketing. I have been overseeing our relationship and partnership with NJIT since we launched the partnership back in late October, early November of last year. We are very close to the point of hiring at NJIT and placing a full-time coordinator there, which will then replace me as the acting coordinator. And David, I will send you that update when we have it so that everybody has new contact information for NJIT. Until then, my contact information is at the end of the presentation, and I am always more than happy to talk to anybody about admissions criteria, program preferences for your students. I'm always more than happy to speak directly to students. I miss that part of my position, so please never hesitate to reach out to me even once we do place a full-time coordinator. So thanks again for joining today. I talk a lot and I talk fast, so please never hesitate to raise your hand or feel like you need to interrupt me to stop and ask some questions. Of course, at the end of the presentation today, we will stop for some questions, and I am happy to answer whatever you guys may need. So NJIT stands for New Jersey Institute of Technology. Hopefully my screen cooperates with me. There we go. Just some quick facts about the university. So it's one of the nation's leading public polytechnic universities. It is located in Newark, New Jersey, which is just 20 minutes outside of Manhattan, New York City. It's very easy to get to. I've done it actually a number of times and I'm very familiar with the commute. Most students are able to just pop on the train and be downtown in Manhattan just within those 20 minutes. We offer both undergraduate and postgraduate degrees, and within postgraduate degrees, we offer both graduate and PhD programs. So right now, about 7,800 undergraduates, and there are about 3,200 graduates within our programs. Most of our international student population are graduate degree students. However, we are looking to increase the number of our undergraduate students. So I'll talk to you all about some incentives on how we plan to do that. David has a couple students from Columbia starting this fall that we're extremely excited about, and we'll definitely get some testimonials out to you guys about their experience. We offer 48 undergraduate degrees as well as 59 master's programs and 19 PhD programs, and I'll talk a bit about those. 99% of our faculty hold terminal degrees in their fields, and we pride ourselves on the small classroom experience and a lot of individual attention with our students. So it's about an 18-to-1 student to faculty ratio by now. Lab classes are typically even smaller than that, about 10-to-1 students. We were founded in 1881. National rankings and some additional rankings that I feel are definitely worth noting. So first off, NJIT is nationally ranked by US World and News Report at number 135, a really prestigious and impressive national ranking here in the US. We're ranked number 105 by national ranking by Washington Post across the US schools. Our undergraduate engineering programs is actually ranked at number 84 by the same report. Our graduate engineering programs is ranked at number 92. Our graduate computer science program is at number 90, and we actually recently just had an acknowledgement come out where we are number 2 in the world for our undergraduate computer science program. Some higher rankings, but definitely worth noting, is number 218 for our business programs across undergraduate and graduate, again in US World and News Report. Number 103 for our students that are interested in math, and number 131 for students that are interested in physics. So as you can see, a very well-ranked school, national ranking extremely low, and I think it's great to see the tuition price point in a couple slides that relates to such a low national ranked school. A couple additional awards and recognition. I think the thing that NJIT is most proud of here is it's one of Princeton Review's 2015 best colleges. We expect to actually make that list again in this upcoming year, and I'll update the presentation with that information. Also extremely proud that a top 10 among technological universities in faculty scholarship productivity. So what that means for you is that your students have access to this faculty and their research. Most of our graduate students participate with their faculty's research, which then gives them access to jobs after graduation, as well as that faculty's network. So a huge selling point for our students. Most of our students decide to do those researches sort of as their internship while in school. So why should your student rather choose NJIT? First off, because of the location, I think. Most of our students love NJIT's location because of its close proximity to New York City. For those of you that are unfamiliar with the city, it is the largest city in the United States. It offers students great access to not only internships, work opportunities post-graduation, but it's a cultural epicenter for the entire United States. Students have access to theater, to museums, to just touring the US from outside of New York City. So it's a really great location. Newark itself is a small college town. It's known to be a safe area because there are over 5 colleges located just in this hub of the suburb. So it's really easy for students to get into the big city, but it's great for those students that want a bit of a smaller, slower pace atmosphere in a safe suburb. The second reason is the state-of-the-art facilities. We have a 45-acre campus in Newark, New Jersey that's contained, so a very traditional feel for students. And our research expenditures exceed over $110 million per year. Should also choose NJIT because of what we can provide to students. So obviously a quality education. I think the rankings really show that, but it's also at an affordable tuition price point, which we'll quickly discuss also. Majority of our students do internships or some sort of co-op while on campus. We discussed the research opportunities, but NJIT puts a really strong internships on students by learning by doing. And what that means is that they encourage their students to hold internships for credit while on campus. We have a really strong career services department that is dedicated to not only helping students find jobs post-graduation, but also jobs while they're in school. So international students have the opportunity to work on campus upon immediate arrival. And then within 1 year, they can apply to work off campus through CPT and count that as academic credit as an internship as well. Lastly, access to diversity of resources that help secure our graduate jobs in competitive fields. And we're going to talk a lot about that because out of the US partners here, NJIT is one of our strongest when it comes to placing their graduates within positions. David, would it be helpful to pause briefly before we start to get into academics, or do you think that I should go through everything and pause at the end?
I think at the end would be just fine.
Okay.
So you can keep going would be great.
Great. Perfect. So the academic colleges that are offered at NJIT. We have the College of Architecture and Design. We have the Newark College of Engineering, the College of Science and Liberal Arts, UWU College of Computing, and Martin Tuckman School of Management. So within all of these academic colleges, we offer undergraduate as well as postgraduate degrees. The next 2 slides are a lot of information, but it lists all of the undergraduate and postgraduate options for a student. So it's really helpful, and what we've done and what David can always bring you back to is if you have students that you know are interested in an undergraduate program, they're narrowing in on what they're interested in, you can not only pull this up, but David has what we refer to as a cheat sheet, which gives you a bit more information about each one of the programs and the acceptance criteria specific to that program. As an undergraduate student, we do require that they declare their major on the front end. It is rather easy to change that major throughout the enrollment process and even when a student does arrive to campus. But some of the acceptance criteria is specific to that individual program. So on the front end, when a student is applying, they do need to select their major at that point. Again, some notables here. College of Engineering for undergraduate programs is ranked at number 84 within the US, and our School of Management with the BS program is ranked at 218. Same thing for graduate and PhD programs. Within each academic college, we do have programs listed here. It's a bit more extensive for our graduate programs. Popular majors this past semester have definitely been housed in anything STEM related. So if you have a question of what programs actually are eligible for STEM, I can provide that information to David as a quick snapshot, but majority of programs on NJIT's campus are STEM related, and it offers the students the extended OPT period. So we see a lot of our students applying to any programs within the Ying Wu College of Computing. Obviously, the engineering program is a huge draw to them too, but we've seen an increased number of our students start to look into the management program also. And a couple of these are actually under review to become STEM eligible. Management of technology, as well as the undergrad business degree, should be STEM eligible by the end of this upcoming September. So it's really great for students that are interested in a business degree, but want to have that opportunity for extended OPT period after they graduate. Same thing for graduate and PhD programs, an extensive list here, but we can provide you with information from that cheat sheet, quote unquote, that gives you a little bit more information in terms of acceptance criteria by program and really what NJIT is looking for by program when reviewing a candidate. So as mentioned, NJIT puts a strong and a lot of emphasis on not only assisting their students throughout the entire education, throughout their entire education on finding internships and CPT opportunities, but also job placement after school. So they hold 2 career fairs every year, one in the fall and one in late spring. They have over 300 employers that attend these events, and they're very well known here in the States. So just some quick facts here. I've listed some of the top employers that come to NJIT every year and recruit their graduates. This is actually a recent list from where graduates just this past year were 2016 graduates were placed. But some really impressive numbers here. So 550 plus companies that have come just this past year to recruit from NJIT. They're the first in New Jersey and 16th among all public universities for return on investment, according to PayScale. One of 4 higher education, quote unquote, best buys in New Jersey. And we're one of the top 10 colleges and universities in the nation for high value added occupational earning power. So some really strong references that I think really show to the point that not only does NJIT is affordable education, but one that is valuable and gives back to the student immediately after graduation, but also just the effort that NJIT puts into finding positions for their graduates. My favorite quote is from Money Magazine, a reputable resource here in the US. It says that NJIT is one of 11 public colleges in the United States where graduates exceed or earn $100,000 or more upon graduation. So again, just a list of some of the Fortune 500 companies that have employed recent graduates just in this past 2 years. So looking into admissions criteria, and please stop me if you have any questions here. So we'll break it down by undergraduate and postgraduate admissions criteria. First is obviously for undergrad, you need a completed application form. NJIT does use the common application. We do have a version that you can complete with your student. The biggest things to note there is that we do need to have 3 reference. We do actually require that at this point to make an EDUCO application stand out. And we need the references contact information to add into the common application. We also do require that, the common application requires that a student writes a creative essay as well, and you'll see the choices for the student listed on the application form. We've waived the application fee for all EDUCO applicants, so there is no application fee for this upcoming spring or next fall semester. In terms of what NJIT is looking for a GPA, they do look for a student at a 3.3 level out of a 4.0 grading scale. This past year, we've seen them admit students as low as a 2.9 out of that 4.0 scale. And obviously that's determined by the rest of the admissions criteria that the student submits with their application. But if you're ever questioning if a student's GPA meets the requirements or maybe is right on the cusp and you want to get some more information, David and I are always happy to do a pre-assessment of that student's application and give you some feedback. I'm always happy to go directly to the director of admissions as well and get his feedback prior to us submitting an application. They're really open to doing that solely for EDUCO students. In terms of English proficiency scores, they do look for a student to have an IELTS of a 6.0. It's equivalent essentially to a TOEFL on the paper-based exam of 550 and 213 on the computer-based 79 in IBT. There's not as much flexibility here if the student is not submitting SAT scores. If you have a student who is submitting SAT scores and has done well on the SATs, NJIT is not concerned about the IELTS score for that student. Again, we can help with a pre-assessment to let you know if the student should be worried about maybe a 5.5 on the IELTS score, but has X score on the SATs. SATs for undergraduate students or for only EDUCO students is optional. So if you have a student that has taken the SAT scores, they can submit those through EDUCO to NJIT. And if they have a 1200 or plus, we'll discuss scholarships, they're typically eligible for institutional aid. If you have a student that has taken the SATs and has scored below a 1200, we recommend you submit that student as an SAT waiver. I'll explain the difference in these two applications, but NJIT will still consider your application even if the student has not taken the SATs. Of course, if you have a student studying within the United States now and is looking to transfer to NJIT, they are not required to have taken the SAT scores or to submit them. As long as they've taken at least one semester of courses within the US, we don't really need to see the IELTS score either. Again, a personal statement and letter of recommendations. The personal statement is that creative essay. And there are some additional requirements for programs like architecture and digital design. Those are all mentioned on the cheat sheet, and I've really detailed out what a student needs to submit in terms of a portfolio for those programs, but we're always happy to help you kind of take the extra steps with those students as they're a bit more detailed of an admissions criteria. Graduate admissions criteria is just a bit easier. So of course, another completed application form. It's not the common application. You'll find it through David, and we just use an EDUCO form in submitting our students to NJIT. The application fee waiver is also waived this entire year for all EDUCO applicants only. The GPA requirement is slightly lower for these students. So it's at a 3.0, and I've seen NJIT go as low as a 2.8 this past semester when admitting students to the fall program. So there is some flexibility there. And again, it would determine on the holistic approach of looking at the student's application, but we can see students get admitted with below a 3.0 on that scale. IELTS is slightly higher at a 6.5 or 79 IBT. GRE scores or GMATs for the management programs are 100% required and cannot be waived. If you have a student, for example, that's applying to maybe computer science and took the GMATs and not the GREs, that's okay. We can still have you submit the GMAT scores. I really detailed in that cheat sheet what exactly scores we're looking for the GREs and for the GMATs. So for a GMAT score, a student really should have a 500 plus. And for the GRE scores, any student applying to computer science, information systems should have a 160 on the quantitative score and nothing below a 145 on the verbal. There's more flexibility for other programs, but typically I haven't seen any student be admitted with a quantitative score of lower than 152, 153. So I can again help to pre-assess some applications if you have questions there. We do require at least one letter of recommendation unless otherwise noted for that specific program. And a personal statement, it's preferred, but we have found that it really does make a difference in a student's application. So I would recommend that we request this from all of our students, especially for those that may have a little bit of a lower GPA. It does kind of give NJIT staff a little bit more of a comprehensive view of the student, and I found that they've been more likely to be admitted. Again, there are some additional requirements for architecture, digital design. They're very similar to the portfolio requirements of an undergraduate student, but if we do have a student at that point that's interested in those programs, we've seen a fair amount for architecture actually. I'm more than happy to help you walk through the requirements of the portfolio. Financial statements we'll get into in a couple slides. PhD, I know it's a very select population. We probably won't see many students from your region, but just in case, I always like to include this information. A GPA of a 3.5, so definitely a student that's a little bit higher of a caliber. 6.5 IELTS score, the GRE test scores are definitely required, or GMATs. There's a very strong focus on the quantitative score. So I haven't seen any PhD student admitted without a quantitative score of at least above 160, 163. 3 letters of recommendation for the PhD programs and a personal statement. So any questions there, you can definitely forward them to me. I've had a few students that have gone or have asked about going directly from a bachelor's degree to a PhD program. There is potential for that. They need to be an extremely strong student. But if you have a student that is looking to do that, just reach out to me and I can talk to NJIT a little bit more specifically about the student's profile. Deadlines. So deadlines for NJIT are very flexible, but for EDUCO students only, which I think is fantastic. They've been really willing to work with us in terms of flexibility on admissions criteria and on their admissions deadline. So I have these here for you, but please keep in mind that if you have a student that is looking to apply, for example, fall 2018 and misses the undergraduate deadline of April 1st, it's okay. At this point, we actually are still accepting applications for students for the fall, but only if they're able to submit everything all at once so that we can turn around the I-20 very quickly. Typically, a master's program, we like to say by June 1 for the fall semester, December 1 for the spring semester. We had students apply as late last year as December 15th for the spring semester. And for undergraduate, April 1st for freshmen for the fall semester, and again, December 1st for that upcoming spring semester. Deposit and payment deadlines. So NJIT does require a deposit of $250. They do not require this at the time of a student's admissions or even to request the I-20. It's just due prior to the student's arrival for the spring semester. For fall, they are somewhat flexible again on these deadlines that I've provided here. They're out a ways now, but it's just good to kind of keep these in mind as a student's next step if they're applying for fall 2018. I should note here, actually I'll note it when we discuss scholarships, I think it'll be helpful. Fees and tuition. So this number is for 2016-2017, so the last class being fall 2017. We'll have updated spring tuition rates and 2018 fall tuition rates, most likely by midsummer from NJIT. They have not yet released their calendar year. But just to give you a sense, and it should not change much from what you see here, graduate tuition per semester is $14,046, and that's with a typical 9-credit rate. So it equals out to about $28,000 per academic year. And academic fees is about $1,400 per semester for these students. So most of the graduate degree programs are 30 credits. Again, this is listed on our cheat sheet if there's any that go above, and the most is at 33. And the standard length of study is about 3 to 4 semesters. One of my contacts at NJIT actually is going to talk to me this week about how we can reduce that time for a student in terms of years. So 3 to 4 semesters might mean that a student is here for 2 full years, but there are ways that a student can cut back on the time that they're on campus to about 1.5 years. So when I have that information of the best way for a student to do that, I can give that to David to give to you guys. Undergraduate tuition is not much different. It's about $14,103 per semester. They're taking the standard number of credits, 12 to 18 per semester. Typically, international students are not taking more than 12 credits in their first semester. And that equals out to about $28,000 per year. Fees are slightly higher at $1,400 per semester. And there is a number of on-campus housing opportunities that we'll talk to, but they're about $11,000 or $12,000 per year, and this includes the students' meals. Next slide, we'll talk about merit-based scholarships as well, but an undergraduate degree is standard in length at about 4 years at NJIT. Scholarship opportunities. So this is a really great time to mention that NJIT is looking to increase its number of international undergraduate students. They're really looking to diversify this population and have been working with Educo to do what's needed in order to make that happen. So one thing is for the spring 2018 students, we just covered admissions criteria. NJIT is very flexible for a spring intake. The admissions criteria that I provided to you is pretty standard in terms of what they will admit for a fall student. However, when it comes to spring, they've been very open with me and telling me that they will be extremely flexible when looking at our students. So I think what that means is that we should take some chances here and submit some students that maybe don't meet that 3.30 GPA and see how flexible that they will be. David and I always push for these students. And they're looking to get to break outside of traditional markets like China and South Asia. So definitely have some flexibility from your students that might have lower acceptance criteria for this spring. Same goes for graduate students as well, but there's less flexibility there as they do find they have a large international student population. In terms of scholarship opportunities, I'll cover graduate first because it's easier, but Educo offers a scholarship of $2,000. It's a one-time scholarship and it's applied over the student's first year. There's no additional institutional aid for graduate students coming from NJIT. The only other way to supplement their tuition costs is to work on campus. And as mentioned, they can do that upon immediate arrival. Undergraduate students, however, there are a couple options. First, for those of your students that are applying with an SAT waiver, they're eligible to receive now a $5,000 annual NJIT scholarship. So NJIT only offers this scholarship to Educo applicants. They've also increased the scholarship from the fall to the spring by $3,000. So they're really looking to incentivize students to attend with them this spring. In addition, that student will also get the one-time $2,000 Educo scholarship. There's no additional paperwork needed for this student, no essays required. We just note them as an SAT waiver, and the student is then eligible to receive that $5,000 from NJIT every year, and that one-time scholarship from Educo of $2,000. If you have a student who has submitted their SAT scores and they're strong, and again, David and I are happy to do some free assessments here and give you a relative idea of what the student might receive, they are eligible between $8,000 and $24,000 per year from NJIT in terms of institutional aid. Right now, they are considering students for max scholarship. So if you have students with the 1,200 plus SAT scores, we should definitely submit that student for scholarship money. The least amount that they will receive is at $8,000, and it's an annual scholarship from NJIT. So some really great news there, a really great announcement that they have increased their scholarship funds for students, and that for the spring, they're really looking to max out the scholarship for the students that are submitting SAT scores. Students are always interested in either on-campus or off-campus housing options. So in terms of off-campus housing options, this is really obviously much more geared towards a graduate degree student, but there are a lot of options off-campus. These are locations, Harrison, Kearney, and Jersey City, all extremely accessible to Newark if the student does not want to live directly in Newark. As you can see, Harrison is walking distance, bus and shuttle, a shuttle from NJIT to Kearney, and Jersey City is very easy. It's a train or bus to NJIT. Monthly rentals, and this is information much more for your student, but students can start to expect about $300. We also have apartments that we have contracted with that we can help a student then be placed in. There are also part-time or short-term availabilities for students that land in the US, just need a short-term stay somewhere before they're then moving into a full-time rental. NJIT does a lot with their students in terms of housing. We're at the end of our recruitment cycle now, and I'm extremely impressed with how well their housing office does in terms of offering students open positions or open rooms on campus, helping them find rooms off campus, and then helping them a lot with short-term options, just because a lot of students don't want to necessarily rent an apartment until they're actually physically here in the US. So they've been really helpful in reaching out to our students constantly. There are, of course, a number of on-campus housing options for students too. So traditionally, this is an undergraduate student, but as you can see, there's apartment-style housing for graduate students also, and there's typically availability, and there's no issue here. So undergraduate students have a list of dorms here where they are available to live in. 2,000 students, they say, live on campus here. There is a Greek village as well, so if students get involved in Greek life, there are Greek houses on campus. These do include a student's meal plan as well. So if a student is interested in living on campus and wants to participate in that meal plan, it's already included in what they've paid to then live in the dorms. So yeah, final slide here before we open it up to any questions. My contact information is here again. You're more than welcome to email me with any student pre-assessment questions you might have. If you'd like to Skype me, I'm always more than happy to kind of type back and forth or hold a session with this student directly. You're more than welcome, even when we do place a full-time coordinator, to reach out to me directly as well. Again, just to recap some major reasons as to why students love NJIT and were originally drawn to NJIT. Obviously, a nationally ranked university at that low tuition price point. Most of our students are focused on something related in the STEM department, so great facilities for students that are interested in engineering, computer science, information technology. And then, of course, the fact that we're located just about 20-25 minutes from downtown Manhattan is a real draw to students. Love being right outside of New York City and having access to all it has to offer. So thank you guys for listening. I hope I covered a lot of questions, but of course I'm here to answer anything that I might have skipped over in your opinion, or just any clarification questions I welcome as well.
Thank you so much, Julia. And this question is from me. And basically, in terms of any tips or recommendations that you can give to all of the agents that are present here, because you are the one that have that initial contact with the application and with the paperwork and everything. So, which are the most commonly made mistakes within that application process? That perhaps if we can take a closer look, or if we I don't know, prepare those documents better, we would help and assist NJIT processing and speeding up their processing times. Is there anything that you would like to recommend in terms of that to our agents here?
Yeah, what a great question, David. So I think you can almost look at it as in two steps. The first step is submitting the application to David and I so that we can complete the application online for the student and ensure that it goes in correctly and it is noted as an EDUCO student, so that they are then reviewed at a quicker time turnaround time. They're eligible for the EDUCO scholarships, and there's no deadline associated with their application. So that being step one, it's really important to ensure that we have all the admissions criteria, David, that we listed as required. So for undergraduate students, it hasn't been from any students actually from your region, but what I found in other regions is we miss the letter of recommendation a lot. It does need to be a PDF. It cannot be a copy on a Word document. And we do need all of that reference contact information. And that would mean the name, relation to the student, current position, phone number, and email. That has typically been a sticking point for us because they're required sections on the Common Application. So we can't even formally submit the application until we have that. The second piece is really ensuring that the student's personal essay is not just a generic personal essay that they have submitted to every other college that they're applying to. So it needs to answer one of the creative essay questions that's listed on the Common Application. And it's really important that a student focuses on why NJIT and in answering that question. So I found for undergraduate, those are really the two things that slow down an application in terms of reviewing it. Graduate is their main focus when they are reviewing applications for graduate degree students, in all honesty, are the GRE scores. So they can be flexible on that, on the GPA score, as long as those GREs are acceptable. So we need to ensure that the GRE scores at least meet exactly what is mentioned on the cheat sheet. So typically for all those programs, it's, like I said, not below 142, 145 for the verbal, definitely not below 150 for quantitative, and it needs to be a 160 or higher for any of those programs that are listed under the Ying Wu's College of Computing. So that's the only thing I've seen slow down a graduate degree review process. That's a great question.
Thanks, Julia.
I should open my chat, and you're welcome to also post questions there. I don't know if I can see everything, but I think I should. Does anybody else have any questions or just even clarifications or student examples they'd like to discuss?
Even if you would like to type in your questions in Spanish or Portuguese, feel free to do so. Roberto and I would be happy to translate if necessary to Julia. So don't be shy.
I did talk a lot, so maybe I covered most questions.
Yes, thank you so much, Julia. The presentation was very comprehensive. Well, I think we don't have any questions at this stage. Definitely, I will be sending the video of this presentation along with the PDF of the slides that you used to everyone registered for the session this morning. And again, you guys already have Julia's contact details on the slide in front of you. And then you have Roberto's and myself's contact details in case you need anything in the upcoming month. We would be continuing to schedule this type of training sessions. We're going to diversify a little bit in terms of the contents and the topics, but we are still going to be talking a lot about our partner schools in the US. So just be in the lookout for those webinar invitations.
Great.
Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Julia, and we will be in touch soon.
Thank you, guys. Have a great rest of your week. And any questions, again, never hesitate to contact me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks.